be demonstrating how to knit short row heels in your socks when you are knitting them two at a time. This will show you how to handle the issues of working one sock and then the other, or one heel and then the other. For this demonstration, I have two small little baby socks here. The red one we're going to call sock number 1, and the white one we're going to call sock number 2. Just to let you know that this can work using this formula. It can work either using magic loop or two circulars. The other thing is, because they're short row heels, they are the same going either way, so this actually works if you're doing two at a time, cuff down as well. So here I have, we'll pretend that this is my foot and it is as long as I want it to. I am now at the beginning of my round and I'm ready to do the heels. So the formula that I use to make a heel is I first knit across the instep. Now because I am just demonstrating, I did a simple little purl for my instep stitches. So I'm just going to go ahead and purl across sock number 1, the instep. If this were a lace pattern, you would go ahead and do that across, but you really do, just for this last little, or actually it's the first little step of your heels, we do the same on both of our socks. So you've got going ahead and working the instep of sock number 1, and then I will just go ahead and begin with the instep of sock number 2, which is my white guy right over here. So go ahead and purl those stitches. If you have never made a short row heel, I recommend that you watch my short row heel video. It's actually 2 parts. In this video, I'm just going to show you how to handle the issues that come up by doing that heel two at a time. So here I am going to work across the instep of sock number 2. Now I can turn my work. I am on what are my sole stitches, but they are now going to be my heel stitches. So to begin the heel, we are going to completely ignore this red sock, or what was sock number 1, and we are just going to build the heel on sock number 2, the white sock here. So even though the sock number 1 or the red sock is still on my needle, I'm totally ignoring it. So I will go ahead and knit to the last stitch on my heel stitch, and I will do a wrap and turn as usual. I just will show you these first 2 rows so that you can see that even though we're doing 2 at a time, for this heel portion, we are just going to go ahead and really just treat them separately. So I will go ahead and do a wrap and turn. Now, when you're following the short row heel, it's time to turn, and I'm just going to do that. And I'm totally ignoring this red sock. And then I'm just going to work on the wrong side of sock number 2, which is the white one here. And I will purl to the last stitch because that's what we do for a short row heel. And when I get to that last stitch, I will just, sorry, didn't purl that guy here. And when I get to the last stitch, I will do a wrap and turn as usual. And there we go. Now I'm just going to keep proceeding following the recommended wraps and turns for my heel. All right, here we are back. We have nearly completed the heel on sock number 1 and on sock number 2, the white one. Sock number 1 has just been sitting here, totally ignored, hasn't grown a bit. You can see our heel popping out here. So what I have is I have 1 wrap stitch left here on sock number 2 on the left side and 1 that is still here on my right hand needle. I am going to go ahead and just leave that there as the pattern asks you to for the heel. I'm going to go ahead and knit across till I get to the last wrap on the left side of this heel. And when I get there, I will pick it up as usual, picking up that wrap. All right, so now I have picked up the last wrap on the knit side here, or the left side of the heel. I'm leaving this last wrap here that I will come back and pick up later. So now it's time to join sock number 1. We've been ignoring it for a while, and now we are going to begin its heel construction, still leaving that last one here. We'll come back and get that in a bit. So we're going to start, now we're going to ignore sock number 2, or the white one, and we're going to go ahead and make the heel on sock number 1. So go ahead and you will knit to the last stitch on that heel. And do our wrap and turn as usual. Turn our work, and then I'm going to go ahead and work on the purl side, and again I'm going to just completely ignore the other sock, and I will work back and forth on these stitches following your desired heel pattern until you have one remaining wrap stitch on each end of the heel on sock number 1, or the red one. So here, wrap and turn. There we go. And I'm going to continue with making up this heel until they're both at this point. All right, here we are at the end of the heel for our sock number 1, the red one. I have one wrap stitch remaining on the right side and another one here on the left side. So I am just going to go ahead and work as usual across this row, and I'm going to pick up that last wrapped stitch as I do on a knit side as usual. I'll go ahead and work my way there. Pick up that wrap. So at this point, both heels are exactly the same. They each have one wrap stitch left to pick up. So now it's time to return to circular knitting, and we are going to go back to these instep stitches that we have been ignoring all this time. So if you remember, my instep stitches were, my pattern was in purl, so I'm going to go ahead and purl across my instep, and you'll just follow whatever instep pattern or design that you choose. And then I bet you can guess what we're going to do when we get to sock number 2. We are going to do the exact same thing that we did on sock number 1. We're going to rejoin sock number 2, and we're going to do our instep design, which for me is the purl stitch all the way across. So I'm going to go ahead and work there. And that is going to bring us, after this instep, to the heel stitches again. We'll return to them, where we have one lone wrap stitch that needs to be picked up on each of our socks. So I'll turn my work back to the heel side of my socks, and you follow the type of short row heel that I do. I still have this last wrap here, and I'm going to pick that up and go ahead and knit that. number 1's heel, after I knit across all of these stitches here, will be complete. And then we are going to then go to sock number, which is what we've called sock number 1, and we'll pick up that last wrap stitch. So there you go, sock number 2, or our white one, is complete. Now I am going to, let's see if I can get my yarn out of here, go ahead and pick up that last wrap on my first sock and go ahead and knit all these stitches, and then my heels will be complete. So once I knit across, both heels will be done. Even though I didn't work them quite at the same time, I was able to keep them both on the same needle. And once I knit this very last stitch here, I have 2 nice little heels all complete. And for a toe-up sock, I'm ready to knit up for the leg. If this were a cuff down, then I would just go right into my foot. Happy knitting!